Clan Blackpaw was founded long ago by the descendants of the current chief. Legend has it that Vilkred the Bone Crusher, as only a boy, became lost in the woods of northern Skyrim. Vilkred survived off the land for 3 days and 3 nights before he was tracked and confronted by a pack of wolves, their alpha a black-furred beast-like dog. The Nord and the Alpha stood against one another in the midst of a Skyrim blizzard and fought. Vilkred outlasted the beast wolf and killed it with his bare hands. It was at that moment that the wolf's pack, seeing their alpha bested, took allegiance to the boy who returned to his home village a man and the leader of Clan Blackpaw. The earliest of Clan Blackpaw members kept these wolves as hunting companions, and the clan became renowned for its hunting premise. It is for this reason that the Black Wolf, along with the blood red representing the blood of our brethren shed in glorious battle, is used to represent Clan Blackpaw, reminding every clanmate that honor and respect are earned, never given, just as Vilkred earned his own leadership. Lycos the Bloodthirsty, once Lycos the Unbroken, was raised in Clan Blackpaw, which lived in the high mountains of northeastern Skyrim. In the fierce cold he was raised and taught the way of the clan until he himself earned the title of chief. It was during this new time of leadership for Lycos when the Akaviri invasion and eventual alliance war began, and Lycos and his kin served violently for the Ebonheart Pact. When Lycos returned after a successful campaign across Citadel, a series of events played out that led to Phelan the Ferocious, Lycos' own son and sole heir to Clan Blackpaw, declaring his alignment with the Daedric prince Hircine. Phelan and his newfound werewolf brethren attacked the local village where Clan Blackpaw resided, killing many innocent Nords and clanmates, and forcing Lycos to slay his own son. As time went on, the Nords of Skyrim began to develop distrust for Clan Blackpaw, and soon the entire clan was either exiled or sentenced to death for Daedra worshipping. Lycos himself was brought before the axe. Rumor has it, the Nord himself transformed into the very beast his son was before slaying his executioners, fleeing Skyrim with his remaining followers, and earning his newfound name, Lycos the Bloodthirsty. Now rumors spread like wildfire of black and red-dressed Nords, bows in hands, lurking about the forests of Skyrim. Clan Blackpaw is at bay. The general public, having no recollection of the event save a few level-minded individuals, has no regards for the clan's apparent innocence, and takes the unruly band of Nords only as monsters, to be held in the same regards as Reachmen. If one knows where to find them, it is said that these Nords will accept anyone with just cause and a loyalty to Skyrim. Generally the Nords are quiet, secluded, but viciously dangerous, all for their own reasons. Clan Blackpaw members are dangerously skillful with a bow and axe, and the clan itself is notorious for its stealth and general sneakiness and stubbiness, according to a Riften guard.
Hello and welcome to CoS Update 5, because I've yet to find a better name for it. I'm currently at one of my favorite spots to just hang out. I really enjoy it here. There's a little bit of ice, but, you know, nothing's better than icicles hanging down from the pool. Am I right? So, I know that last time I told you guys that me being in-game might be a little less. That kind of turned out to be a lie. It wasn't intended to, but I got in touch with my good friends Rich and Mike, and we decided to get the Vigilant back together. So I'll be a guild leader again, so I'll be in-game quite frequently. It'd be kind of stupid to start a guild up and then not be in-game. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna start the Vigilant back up. We're gonna have all the fun times, which means we'll be joining y'all for a lot of roleplay, hopefully. All these plots coming up and stuff. So looking forward to that. I hope you guys are ready. Might have to shake the rust off a little bit, but we'll get there. So what I wanted to do before I talked about what the interview's about today, I wanted to just mention a few posts on the site that caught my attention. There was the first one being from Yorn, who I believe just came back as well. His character is a skald, which is basically a bard in Skyrim. So he is looking to make some sort of events out of the whole skaldic theme. So he's looking for people who are interested in being a skald or a bard and having story competitions, poetry competitions, rhyme-offs, songs, you name it. So if that's something you think would interest you, take a look at the thread. I'll try to put the link in there, but I'm notorious for not actually doing that. I get a little confused while throwing things on YouTube, I guess. So there's that. That was the first thing I wanted. There's also a second post I want to talk about. Is it? What's that? No, there isn't a second post I want to talk about. So next up, we have Clan Stormblade is returning as well. Apparently, a lot of people coming back to the game, which is fantastic because it means we'll have so much more to do. Clan Stormblade is at Gearman's Hall, as they were before. So, if you look forward to that, or are a part of Stormblade and don't know what's up, they're coming back. Which should be very good. Thorin, very nice guy. He's actually one of the only 3 people that sent me an intro video before, and he wore a fantastic beanie and beard combo. It was great. So, looking forward to seeing what those guys offer. I know they've partaken in quite a few of the plot lines. They were part of the Reachman plot and everything, so we'll see what happens. On to general roleplay headquarters stuff, which I'm gonna plug my own stuff. Well, partially my own stuff, but Floyd's as well. The first lore podcast that I edit should be out, and it is with Mycroft and Pooch talking about the Forgotten Realms lore in generic way that lore develops in a game and how to use it. So it's a bit of an introduction podcast on the ways lore can affect characters and such. So if you're interested in podcasts learning about Forgotten Realms lore, then I think you should check it out. Floyd's masterpiece, however, is the Rock and Roll Play, and he just released an episode with Pagan Rock and Roll Play. So if you've never checked that out, you really should. It's phenomenal. Floyd is a fantastic editor, and it's some great content. One day, I really hope to be able to edit the lore podcast just as well, but it's kind of hard to compare the two as they're 2 different themes. So that's that. If you're interested in podcasts, you just like listening to them, definitely check them out and give me feedback personally, and I'm sure Floyd wouldn't mind as well on ways to improve them. This is the first podcast I've edited, so it would just be nice to hear what y'all think of it. And that leads me now to the upcoming interview. So, these interviews, this show, I guess I should say, dates back for probably a half a year to a year now. It's probably a year, actually. And ever since the first one released, Lycos has been trying to get with me to do one of these. I always told him I was getting around to it, and then I left the game. And then I came back for a while, pitched the idea to him again, he was all for it, and then I left again, and then I came back. So this time, I'm actually going to interview him about his character, Lycos the Bloodthirsty, and his guild, Clan Blackhawk. So, hopefully, this goes very well, and apologies to Lycos for it taking so long. But here it is, your interview, and I will see you all later. Thank you for watching, and have a fantastic day.
Hello, Lycos
Hi.
the Bloodthirsty, otherwise known as the Brass Monkey.
Yep. Brass Monkey, the funky monkey.
The funky boy. I'm pretty sure I didn't even know you, and that was, I think, the first thing I called you.
Yep. It was pretty awesome.
Like, you just like popped out of nowhere. I'm like, Brass Monkey, that's a cool name. And then I think I just like in the middle of COS chat just called you the funky monkey.
Yeah, it happens a lot. I use I use the name all over the place, so the
Alright.
name, the song does get sung quite a few times.
So you obviously, as mentioned before, you play Lycos the Bloodthirsty, and you are the guild leader of Clan Blackpaw, correct?
Yes, I am proud leader.
So let's start with what got you into Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah, so I guess I started playing Elder Scrolls games with Skyrim, and I was attracted to the lore and stuff. It was extremely rich, something I hadn't really seen in previous games I had played before. I actually was only into like FPS games and stuff, so it wasn't that no content really. And went back and played Oblivion and Morrowind a little bit, and I heard about Elder Scrolls, ESO coming out. There was huge hype. I had only been role-playing a couple years, and I saw like the two things that I loved come together into one, and I saw an opportunity to come forward with a roleplay I wanted in a universe that I already knew and loved. So that's how I got into ESO roleplay.
That's nice. It's kind of a similar thing for me. Is I tried playing World of Warcraft before ESO came out, and it was too fantastical for me. I didn't like the setting, and then I saw that Elder Scrolls was coming out, and I had played Oblivion and Skyrim before, so I knew the setting, but I also knew that it wasn't overly fantastic.
Right, it's a little more rugged than most of your fantasy games, like chiseled. I really like it for that reason.
Yeah, I appreciated the setting a lot more, and I can find myself actually sort of believing that I was part of it, instead of seeing a gnome on a motorcycle or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So we were talking earlier, and you mentioned that your 1 year is coming up. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, so it'll be February 12th, so it's about a week from right now, but I'm excited. The guild is very excited. A lot of them have been around for most of that year, if not the whole year, and we're going to throw a big party, and most of us are going to get drunk, and it's going to be great.
Well, that's part of being a Nord clan,
Absolutely.
right? You just got to throw a giant party, get drunk, and call it a day.
That's pretty much every day for Nords, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. It doesn't have to be a good reason for it. It just is.
Exactly.
That's also... Has it really, like... Time has flown, because I'm pretty sure I've known you for that whole year.
Yeah, our first, I guess, COS mention was actually on a COS video update when you started talking about the appearance of Clan Blackpaw, and for us, and I remember watching that and having just, gotten into the COS community, I kind of like fangirled. I was like, oh man, we're the COS update video, yeah!
So you should have sent that video to me. I would have put it in the next one.
Yeah. That would have been great. I blew up in the TeamSpeak about it. I was like, guys, look. I was like spamming the link to everyone. It was so great.
So I'll have to go back and see if that's my most watched video then.
It might be.
Alright, so from what I've seen of you, you usually play a singular character in Lycos. Is that true?
Yeah, I don't know, I feel like I get into one character, I start understanding the cognitive thoughts and stuff, and how I usually roll with them in terms of personality and stuff, and it kind of just, it feels right to be playing one character at a time. Given I have a couple side characters, I have one fairly mischievous wood elf that I'll pull out every now and then just for, for fun, but I do tend to stick to one character, and part of it is...
I like doing it that way a bit myself, just because you can fully get into the story.
Absolutely. And then another part is, I mean, you do get an attachment to these characters, but I kind of get a little bit of like blending if I were to play multiple characters, and I've had it happen a little bit in the past before.
Right. It's actually whenever I came back this time around, I made a skull, and I think my first couple of days I'm just talking to myself. I'm like, don't you make a Bosmer joke. Don't you make a Bosmer joke. And then I made a few Bosmer jokes. I'm like, well, that's it. I'm going back to Iondale.
Yeah.
Because obviously that's where I want to go.
Exactly. You always remember your first, and that'll be the fondest. And Lycos is pretty fond to me.
So, tell me what inspired you for that character? What was your inspiration, and why do you love him so much?
Yeah, so Lycos is a very interesting brainchild of mine. I started out roleplay in a couple of different MMOs that weren't at all really established in terms of roleplay communities. To be blunt about it, they were fairly toxic. But I always had this ongoing character, and he was represented in various forms. And I really wanted to turn this character into something legitimate, some like a real, well balanced, with real emotions character. And the role play and some of the experience I had in the past didn't really allow for that. But coming into the ESO community, from like Tesso RP was active very early on before launch, and I kind of knew that what I was walking into. So I wanted to create a character that not only was a tribute to my previous RP as a player, but sort of encompassed serve as a symbol, sort of, as becoming like a better role player, and Lycos sort of goes through this big change, and I'm in love with how it turned out. And so I guess he's a symbol for me of the development of my RP and him as a character as well.
All right, I can follow that. One of my main draws for Iondale is I'd never roleplayed before Elder Scrolls Online before, so I was more of a short story writer, and I had always had this character named Iondale in my stories. So that's where my inspiration was for him. It kind of seems like you have a similar one where you were kind of trial and erring through different games to find your voice.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I found my vibe with Lycos, and that's all I've been doing nonstop is Lycos, which might change in the future, but we'll see.
We'll see what Blackpaw intends to do, right? So whenever you guys first came out, you were one of the very first to have like I'm going to say a negative connotation to your guild.
Yeah.
As you were seen as somebody who was darker, I should say.
Absolutely. Go ahead. Sorry.
And it was just, I honestly think you were the first one to openly go that route, which I think drew a few members to you at the very start, because that's an interesting way to go about things. What made you decide, first off, to start Blackpaw, and what was your inspiration for that?
As a GM, your character is sometimes meshed into the guild. And the concept I had for Lycos is embedded into the concept for the guild. And the entire guild has this sort of theme to it, and that's redemption, to put it in one plain word. So when I started out the guild, I wanted to have, I guess, a roleplay experience where characters from all walks of life could come in from different places and come together into one coherent clan, and we constantly preach that we are an unconventional Nordic clan, which is absolutely true. And then starting in a dark place sort of let us do that. And additionally, starting, I guess, as a darker guild and as someone renowned as pretty much criminals, they were wanted, allows for a lot more character development, I felt, in terms of story. Because you don't just walk into somewhere and automatically have a good reputation. If anything, you have a neutral reputation. But I really wanted this to be a challenge for the clan and a challenge for Lycos to overcome, all of the hardships that was their past, and it's provided the best opportunity, and it paid off as for some really, really awesome roleplay.
I say it was probably a little interesting at the start of trying to tell people that you were supposed to have a negative reputation, because a lot of people are very open to new roleplay, right?
Yeah,
And whenever you state that have a negative connotation to your guild, people were like, "Well, why?" So, did you have any issue with that at first? Were people too open to you for your liking?
yeah. And the way when we handled that as a guild was using like our characters use aliases. But yeah, it was kind of hard to just be like, hey, FYI, if your character finds out that my character is who they are, they'll totally be prompted to kill them, which is sort of an awkward out of character conversation to have, especially with people you're new to role playing with.
Yeah, a lot of new people, like a lot of people see like newcomers come like, what are you talking about? You can't just do what?
Yeah, it's just like, wait, you want me to notice and kill your character? And I had a lot of people that would be like, well, my character wouldn't really notice that your character was a criminal who was wanted for a couple thousand gold and was rumored to have murdered a couple people, so we'll just keep going.
Right, you're just trying to point out to like, did your character walk out and through Riften? Did they not look at a single light post where this picture was plastered?
Exactly, and then that's how we played it off. And to sort of get past that, we did start using aliases. So Lycos went, I guess he didn't really have too much creativity. He just took his dog's name. So for a good month or so, he was known as Wilfred around the Withered Tree Tavern, just a peculiar name for a Nord. But we started... Oh, go ahead.
It's a good name for an imaginary friend.
It is. But that type of roleplay actually gave rise to another one of our interesting guild concepts, and that's the whole, like the public and the undercovers type roleplay. And we do have both sides, and I think that actually led to it, the full development of that type of roleplay. So it was really great.
No, that's good. Now, how's that work now? Has your guild fully transitioned into being accepted? Because Lycos is now a counselor. How did that end up happening?
Yeah, so I guess the guild it's in itself, I guess appearance wise, has completely abandoned its criminal past and meshed wonderfully into the Skyrim guild community ICly. But that's not really the case under the covers. And again, everything we do has meaning under the covers, and I say that it's a loose term, but it just means the actual intent of the clan. So we are, I guess, tentatively within the community, and all of the actions we do are 110% like loyal to Skyrim and stuff. But due to the clan's like dark history, a lot of it is safety nets. The clan, most of us are made up of a couple lycanthropy infected, people, and we have some dark pasts, and if some of that information were to get out, we could sacrifice our entire reputation. And while Lycos didn't anticipate being nominated to become an Eastern Skyrim counselor, he jumped on the opportunity because he knew like this was another opportunity to make sure I can keep my guys safe. And he doesn't manipulate the situation, like he won't I guess like twist arms and stuff as a counselor and use that as a leg up for him. That's not his style. As much as we are a dark group, we are still honorable. We walk both sides of life, sort of.
Right, yeah,
yeah.
And I think anybody can find that if they read the backstory
Exactly.
of your guild. You're incredibly Skyrim loyalist. It's just some of the things that you guys do could be taken in a different light.
Exactly, and it's all about light in this case. And the whole objective behind the guild is to maintain this great public image, not only because it's the right thing to do, but because it'll keep us safe from a little bit of Skyrim prejudice that the clan is unfortunately aware of due to past experiences.
Right, and I'm sure there's been some interesting moments where you had to deal with Daedra hunters or something along those lines.
Yeah, absolutely. As a guild, we do who has werewolves, we promote 110% as close as we can get to a good werewolf roleplay experience, and that doesn't mean, oh, we transform every night and we hunt. We really delve into the deeper, darker parts of being a werewolf character, and that's mostly things like PTSD. A lot of the characters there get super, super paranoid and stuff when their wolf forms are, active, or it's a threat that they'll be ousted as werewolves. The clan is very, very strict about not transforming around others, or not transforming at all if it can be helped. And there's been a couple situations where Lycos has had to make some really tough calls on what to do about clanmates who have transformed and, sort of cost the clan, well, not cost the clan, but put the clan in immediate danger because of this. And it's come to the point where he's considered, killing people or stuff like that.
Yeah, it's the Vigilant we had a very similar thing with werewolves and actually vampires there for a little bit. Where as long as it wasn't public, you could do whatever you want. But once you did something in the public, then you put everybody in a tricky situation.
Exactly.
So the big thing is basically not going around to like tavern nights and be like, "Yo, I'm a werewolf."
Yeah, and that's exactly, and not even like you can't even show other people. Like one of the best situations where this happened was we had one of our guildmates was just chilling around the hall, and we had a couple friends over from a different guild. We were helping out a friend who was in a sticky situation and their wife needed to be taken care of and stuff. And she saw this clanmate who had no idea that they had guests around pop out of wolf form and, sort of panic a little bit. And this woman freaked out. She was pregnant at the time, so she had like a completely justified fear for her children. And she rushed out of there. And Lycos chased her out and was like, whoa, what's going on? And she's like, I saw, this I can't be here. Please don't kill me. I promise I won't tell anyone. And she runs. And, at first you'd think, well, Lycos is just going to be okay with this and continue on. But he goes back and he starts ripping into this clanmate. They end up getting in a huge fist fight over it, and the guy is almost dead at that point. And then he goes ahead and starts contacting a couple people and ends up writing the guy a whole new identity.
Right, and it's one of those things too. One slip like that could really just open up to a whole lot of possibilities, which you don't want to go into.
Absolutely.
That lady running back into Rift and alerting Daedra hunters, and then she obviously knew where you're at.
Right, and not even alerting Daedra hunters. It comes down to that was a friend of theirs, So if they run back and tell other friends, and Clan Blackpaw loses a lot of connections, and that'll lead to a downfall too. It's just horrible.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you appreciate whenever you actually have people who understand the darker aspect of werewolf lore. Because as you said before, a lot of people I don't think dig into it as far as you guys have, with the stress of wondering when at any second you can transform into a werewolf in the heat of battle.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a full-on 24-hour state of paranoia, and it doesn't go away, and it rips into a lot of people, and we've had some really, really emotional role play around it. But it's something we like, and we take pride in that sort of role play, so it's great.
Awesome. Speaking of roleplay, you guys are heavily involved in the Children of Skyrim events, which there seems to be at least a tavern night every night anymore. So what beyond that distinguishes Clan Blackpaw from Skyrim guilds?
Well, I mean, other than which is super important, by the way, guild inclusion public events, we do run a couple ongoing guild storylines that any guildmate could just walk into and get in on. And they usually surround the themes of, the backstory. Oh, excuse me. The backstory of the clan, or right now we're doing two things at once. We're kind of juggling, exploring lycanthropy, and continue to delve deeper into what that means as a character. And additionally, we have a clan plotline titled Project Owl Court, which is our attempt at keeping all of the clan O, Sealy, and I Sealy on their toes in terms of roleplay. It's a new concept we've been experimenting with, and it's really enjoyable. I can't say a ton about it, obviously, but the clan has been encountering situations from the past, like very original Clan Blackpaw, before everything happened, that sort of has led to the hall might have been burned down once or twice, and we'd had to rebuild it and stuff. But
it's always the best whenever the hall gets
yeah,
burnt.
but it gets really, really dark, and it's really, really in depth. You know, like we're not just leading characters by the hand through this. Like investigation has to be like a huge factor. Like if characters aren't looking around and stuff, and people aren't actively like thinking in their heads, like, okay, what clues do I have? What tools do I have? There have been situations where major parts of the plotline have had to been moved around because people didn't catch the right information or the right outcome didn't happen.
I don't. You mentioned the Reachman plot earlier. I don't know if you guys were involved in my Draugr plot that was sort of associated with that, but I did the same thing where I would have clues written down that if people didn't search for, they'd never know we're there.
Yeah.
So there was significant parts of the story that were never found.
Yeah, and I think that's honestly it's the most natural way to go with it. I mean, the information can be there, but it's realistic if you miss something. Obviously, if you're not looking for it.
Yeah. It sucks a little bit as the leader because, you know, you put so much work in behind the scenes that a lot of people will never understand.
Right.
And then, you know, you're like really hoping that at least one person will take the time to look in that corner underneath the the apple basket or something to find that skull. But they don't.
Exactly. And speaking of plotlines of this, I do have to say I am only like a side member in terms of the Owl Court situation. A lot of the stuff we do is really thanks to the great, like, I have a great officer team and I have a great team of really, really talented writers that are doing some great stuff. And something we also do in terms of guild interaction is what we call Feature Friday, in which we have just any old guildmate can volunteer. It's first come, first serve, and we let them design a plot line or little event based solely around their character's story. And the whole guild attends, and we get red shirts and everything. And it's sort of, I mean, it lightens my workload a little bit on Fridays. I like it, but it gives characters and players who don't always have the chance to, you know, run stuff like this, not only see how it's run, but kind of feel that gratitude for putting something awesome together. And I think that's great for us.
It really is, and I think if it's somebody that has never ran an event before but has showed up to every event, it gives them a little understanding of the amount of work it takes to put on a solid event.
Oh yeah, certainly. And you know, thankfully I've been helping people along the way, but all of the guildmates have had really incredible events so far. I don't think we have had a boring character spotlight Friday in a really long time, and we've got tons more like in the forums just ready to be kicked out.
I say you open to non-clan members doing Feature Friday, because I may want to stop down and do something with you.
If we don't have anything going on within the guild, then yes. I can't
all right.
like I can't say this and then I have like immediately tons of people rushing to me like, oh, I want my character to be this.
Oh no, I wasn't saying everybody else. It was just I wanted to. It was just a personal.
Then maybe, yeah.
Just do it once for me, man. Break all the rules.
Oh no. We'll see what the guild thinks. We are a democracy.
Oh, yeah. Maybe if they fangirl enough, right?
Oh, absolutely. They do. They fangirl over you all the time. But I think we should talk about the whole history behind the clan, because we sort of been hinting at, you know, like what Clan Blackpaw is, and we have this dark history, but it's not understandable why, and it gives it a lot more depth if we do, I think. So, are you okay with that?
I mean, go for it.
All right.
I'll hear your story.
Okay, so it's a little bit tidbit about Lycos too. We start with that, and everything just flows into one. So Lycos was born in the Second Era, about 546-ish. So he's about 36-ish right now. He was born to a Nordic Highland clan titled Clan Blackpaw. Very different from the one you see today. It was based off of like northern central Skyrim, so edging towards Dawnstar, but still pretty foresty. Very isolated, very Nord-centric. Everything you would expect out of a vanilla Nord clan. And Lycos was born and raised under these cultural identities, and he was taught like elves are horrible people, and all of the racist Nord things that were
Right, the classic xenophobia.
right. Exactly. So he was born and raised in this culture, and so at about 18 years old, he becomes the chief, and he marries only for, like, as a strategic opportunity. He wasn't really interested in women in terms of marriage at this point. Not to say he wasn't interested in women. He was interested in getting married. So he married.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
He married the girl from one clan over to join houses. Obviously, is a pretty good decision on his part. Consummated the marriage, and soon he's got a kid. Well, he's got his first child. He eventually has 4. So as this is going on, and Lycos' entire story leads up to the reason why the clan is the way it is. So this isn't just me blabbing on my character.
Well, no, I've read it.
Oh yeah.
So I understand.
Yeah. So at about the same time, a couple years later, the Akaviri War breaks out, and the Ebonheart Pact forms, and Skyrim is somewhat militarized. So Lycos is traveling. He's running around, going about. The early specs of what would eventually become the Three Banners War starts popping up. So he does get to travel a little bit. Finds himself in Bruma through some interesting circumstances, and meets a very, very good-looking Imperial girl, and he cannot help himself. And he justifies it as he wasn't really in love with his first wife, and she's back home at Skyrim. Who's gonna remember? So he ends up.
All right, Rob Stark.
Yeah, that's exactly how some people describe it. So he ends up with a second child. So he's got 2 children born in relatively close time span, and that whole situation happens. And I guess he didn't learn the first time. He's got 4 children total, 2 legitimate children, 2 illegitimate children, and he basically spends most of his time with the clan, and when he's serving with the pact, he goes down to visit other children. And that continues on for a couple years, and eventually his eldest son, who is his legitimate son, decides, Dad, it's time for me to go serve the pact. And he's like, oh shit. He's gonna find out. So, he breaks it to him, and this kid seems to understand, and all seems well in Lycos land. So a couple months after, Lycos and his son get back from a campaign. They can talk to the illegitimate children. They don't. The children, by the way, don't have a good relationship at all. You'll find out why later. So his son's name is Folan, and he goes to this council of elders, which are made up of all of the subfamilies within Clan Blackpaw, escorted by his father, who has no idea what's going on. And he goes, all right, I want to practice. I caught on to magic while I was in, heading towards Bruma, and I really want to practice magic. And the elders look at each other, and they're like, are you kidding me? No way. Like, this is elvish.
You're a Nord, yeah. Calm down.
Elvish trash. And so, and his son looks at Lycos and kind of gives him this little, they don't like this, Dad. Maybe you should convince them. Lycos, knowing his son has the upper hand in the situation, on him at least, says, no, let it happen. Let's do it. So eventually all the clan elders grudgingly agree to let this clan kin of theirs practice magic, which in some cases in some Nord places is completely fine, but for a based Nordic clan hunter-gatherer type, this is unheard of. So Bolin goes on and starts learning magic, and things start getting weird a couple months in. And he starts disappearing, like into the night, into the forest, without weapons. Comes back, like kind of bloody and stuff. People start finding dead carcasses of animals and once or twice a person, and it starts alarming the clanmates, the regular clanmates, and rumors are going around, and the most obvious one is there's a werewolf among us, and the crazy Nord-centric people instantly point to the magic user and say, it's him, he's a Daedra worshiper. And, this sounds like a crazy reaction, and like kind of brushes it off. And he's walking one day in the middle of the village, and he turns to his son and he says, get rid of this rumor. Like, tell me this isn't a thing so everyone can go back to their business. And Lycos' son looks him dead in the eye and he says, no, it's true. So
Oh, he's got guts.
yeah, he's got real guts in this case, and he's standing in front of this entire clan, and who are all gawking at him now and screaming traitor and Daedra, and everyone's freaking out. And to make matters worse, Lycos' son transforms. Turns out he wasn't at all happy with the way his father had two other children, illegitimate children, so he decides he's going to take it out on the clan. Being as Clan Blackpaw was originally a hunter-gatherer based clan, they did have very close ties to Hircine and the hunt and stuff like that, but none of them had ever even considered becoming a werewolf, or that wasn't even in question. Nordic culture, Sovngarde.
Or just having a werewolf pop out in the middle of town square one
exactly.
day. Be like, hey,
and
I'm just gonna eat you all now.
And you know what they say about werewolves: where there's one, there's four, and where there's four, there's more. And doing a whole werewolf pack that Bolin has magically conjured somehow, according to Nord legend, but starts flooding the village, and the whole place is mutilated. Disgusting, like everything's burning. It's chaos. Lycos' entire world is falling down, like right in front of him. And he grabs as many as he can, and he leaves. And on his way out, he catches what appears to be a werewolf version of his son, mutilating his own mother, like his first wife. He's forced to kill the werewolf, kill his son. It's one of the many things that haunt him, and he runs off. So out of maybe the 70-ish clansmen that populated the village, there's maybe 20 left at this point. And Lycos' first priority is to get all of the clanmates to safety, and so they start going west. They go to the next nearest village. And, Lycos sends a scout. And this scout, like quite a few of the Clan Blackpaw members at this moment, are very untrusting of their chief. They say, look what his son did, this is not good. So he goes to the scout goes to the chief of the neighboring clan, and he says, listen, Clan Blackpaw is in disarray right now. Their entire land, titles, and honor are up for grabs. If you help me out, I will make sure you get all of the stuff and nothing goes wrong. So not only is Lycos screwed by his own son, he shows up to what he thinks is a welcoming group of fellow kinsmen in the mountains. And what do? They knock him out, lock him up, and pretty much have a fake trial to execute him. And a couple of his...
They weren't playing
opponents.
around, were they?
No, they weren't. They were out to win. And this is, I guess, the source of where Lycos does not have a trust for specific political systems, or the political system in general, because he knows he was screwed just so the other clan could have the upper hand. And to him, that's the worst part. And he sort of figures this out as he's being brought to execution, and he screams bloody, horrible things at the clansmen that betrayed him as he watches several of his clanmates beheaded. But luckily, Clan Blackpaw is very resourceful. At least the Nords were at that time, and a couple of the archers were hiding up in the surrounding mountains and forests around the village, and they get him out, with some archer work and stuff. And Lycos runs, and he goes to his clanmates that are left, and he says, "Okay, this is it. The clan's done. You need to scatter. Go live your lives on your own." And they run off. And Lycos turns around and he says, "You know what? Screw these guys. I'm gonna go get them." So he goes on a sort of how would I describe it? If you've ever seen The Last Mohican, a very indignant run of blood and gore and anger. And midway through, it turns out that during the werewolf attack, he was bitten, and he transforms for the first time and murders close to most of the village, in which, first off, he was labeled, and the rest of his clan were labeled as Daedra worshippers and werewolves, and he was given a bounty, and his new alias was Lycos the Bloodthirsty, and that is why. Now, at this point... Oh, sorry.
No, you're good, man. Keep going.
Oh, okay. So at this point in time, it's just about like gearing up into the Three Banners War, and everything is going on, and Lycos flees south. He doesn't turn back. He doesn't, he has no idea what became of his fellow clansmen, though it is known that several of them were captured and executed across various places in Tamriel, Morrowind, and Skyrim included. And he flees all the way to the Black Marsh, and knowing he's a werewolf, he sort of goes into this limbo, this very, very dark, dark time for him. He's hunting by day and like struggling, and he's really depressed, and he has no purpose in life. And
right, yeah, his life just pretty much turned to 180 there.
Everything is gone for him. All of his honor, his valor, his, whatever he had, his reputation, it's all gone. He's a wanted criminal now. He's forced to steal food and, live in the shadows. And for a Nord, that's extremely damaging to his sense of self-worth. And, there's a couple times while he's there that he considers killing himself. But he doesn't. He meets up with a couple very, very worldly Argonians. Many of the Argonians of Black Marsh are worldly. And he sort of comes to a revelation, and he says, okay, I can die here in Black Marsh, or I can die trying to redeem myself and my clan. And that his Nordic heritage is still very much invested into him, but through this time he's sort of come to see that, the world isn't all just Nords and hating elves and through the other packed races. There's people everywhere, and people do help him along his way back to Skyrim, and he doesn't forget that. And that is where the rebirth of the Neo-Clan Blackpaw, I like to call it, but the Clan Blackpaw we know and love today, that's where it starts coming in. So with this sort of, like, valiant mission, Lycos goes out and he starts in Morrowind, and he starts gathering one by one, just few people, Most of them are criminals at this point, and he says, look, do you want a better life for yourself? And the criminals obviously are like, yeah, totally. And he's like, do you want to live in...
Yeah, I'd rather not rot in this Dunmary cell.
Exactly.
Please, thanks.
Exactly, and a lot of them, they're inspired by him. They see that he is coming from the very bottom of the pits of, whatever hell they can imagine. And they see him rising up, and they want to join him. And so he gets this ragtag scheme of elves, like Nords, criminals, wanted people, werewolves, you name it. He's got them. And he starts coming back to Skyrim. And for a while there, he was living in the dark, with the clan. And that's where the RP with the Reachman plotline starts, where they're living in the dark, and they have no idea what's going on, and they think that they don't know what to do. They're criminals, and they're like, well, we want to be good, but you can't just walk into somewhere and be good. You can't redeem your name through something like that. So they're kind of sitting in this stalemate, operating in the shadows, waiting for some opportunity to come up. And that opportunity does come, and it's through the Reachman War. And it was during this time, Lycos caught word in Riften that this was going on, and that, the Reachmen were attacking all of Skyrim and the Rift, and Lycos sees this as an opportunity. So in one of the very first public events Clan Blackball has attended, Lycos decided to take a trip to the Moot, all of the guild leaders in Skyrim. He walks in along with Jeff and Beartooth, who was the leader of the Stonehill Reachmen, if you're familiar with them.
Well, yeah, I'm very familiar with the Stone Hills.
Yep, so the Stonehills and Clan Blackpaw linked up before, and they kind of formulated this brainchild that, okay, we're going to go offer our services honorably to the Moot, and they'll either kill us or we'll be completely fine. So, Lycos and the Stonehill go to the Moot, and they walk in, and they go ahead and spill everything. They say, the Stonehills say they're Reachmen from the Reach, and they should be killed, but they want to serve and help. And Lycos says his clan is wanted, and both of them offer their services in exchange for redemption, or in Lycos' case, the clearing of his clan name and the restoration of his honor. And grudgingly, the Moot, seeing no reason to kill these guys, because they don't seem horrible, I guess, agree. They put them in the very back in a group of their very own, so these guys don't have a chance to backstab anyone, but they have their chance. And Lycos and Clan Blackpaw are ecstatic. They have their chance to redeem themselves, and this is huge for them. So Battle Day comes, and everything seems to go well. I guess as well as a battle can go. The clan does fight ferociously alongside the rest of the pact, and several key people who knew Lycos as Wilfred sort of see him there, and they're like, wait, you're not Wilfred? And he's like, nope, that's not me. And he's proudly wearing his clan tabard for the first time in years. And on that day, Clan Blackpaw was semi-redeemed. And from then on, it's just been a journey of sort of earning our place, Skyrim, Iceli. And that's where the clan started, and that's how we got here. And all of those in-character actions drive every decision we make. And every decision that Lycos makes and the clan makes is for Skyrim, but it's also to make sure that they do keep their home, because they wouldn't dare lose it again.
Right, and I'll tell you one thing, you've made quite an impact upon the community, you guys and your guild. So I say you did very well.
Thank you, I really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. I'm just speaking from a brutal honesty point there.
Yeah. And like we do push that roleplay to the limits. And the story is going to continue. I can't say a ton, but there are things coming back from Lycos' past that will come and bite Clan Blackpaw in the ass, and it's going to be fun, and hopefully we can get the rest of the community involved with that as well.
Oh, I'm sure you definitely will. So, all right, we're gonna end it there. We're gonna cut it off. That was the Funky Monkey himself, Lycos the Bloodthirsty.
Woo!
Thank you all for listening. Any last words before you sign off there, buddy?
Just thank you for being an awesome community, everyone in COS, and I love you all.
Have a good night, man.
You too.
Order is but a guise, a lie. Order is the false sense of security that keeps milk drinkers calm in the face of battle, and the soothing tone that will lull an elf to sleep atop a blade. No, order is not true. It is but a shroud behind which the true nature of the world lies, and behind which we too will hide.
So I sort of realized as I was packing up my stuff that you couldn't see a lot of what I was referring to whenever I said that this was one of my favorite areas to go, because I kind of remained stationary. So as a little bonus cut, I'm going to just give a little panoramic view of this little stream that I come to quite often to hang out and just relax. So here we are. I know it ain't really all that much, but it's just a nice place to hang out, and it's very isolated. I mean, there is a road up there, but I think in the grand total of the hour that I've been here, 2 cars have gone by. I live out in the middle of nowhere, so it's just a gorgeous little spot. I thoroughly enjoy it. It's a little treacherous getting here. Oh, sorry for that close-up. It's a little treacherous getting here. It's covered in ice and rocks, and I think I almost died about 4 times falling into the cold water. Luckily I can swim a bit, but so that's that. I just enjoy coming here. Hope you all enjoy your day again. Peace.